Hello, you lovely lot. How you diddling? It's good to be back. Yeah, it's been a while, isn't it? Busy. Good stuff, as in, I think I talked in my last video about getting balance. Never easy for me, but there's progress, and that's all I'm looking for is progress. I always say, it's not a linear process moving forward, and it never goes in a straight line up. It's usually like that, and so that's what's been happening, right? But yeah, I'm finding my feet with the balance, and it's kind of bringing back fitness as a priority in my life, and so getting that balance. And of course, if I'm starting back out again with fitness, it can take me a while. I can feel completely exhausted. It takes your body to adjust, right? So, and that's how I've been feeling, and so trying to make sure that I don't overdo it with everything, as that's old habits, right? Anyway, enough about me, and excuse the kind of I'm in a bit of disarray. I've got visitors, I've got guests, so please excuse that. I'm sure you will. Let's talk about setting goals. Now, the concept of setting goals really didn't mean anything to me until I started to deliver a program. It was the Success Principles by Jack Canfield. Well, it was derived from that. It was kind of based on that. I went on this program, on this course in London, and I was just blown away. So much, in fact, that I become a trainer. I was like, I need to be doing this stuff because it's so aligned with my recovery and the program. And so it was like a no-brainer, right? And in this training course, they talked about setting goals. And I always thought that was for the ultra-organised, the laser-focused, people not like me. But I didn't understand. I thought, they're great and they're probably just to get you organised. Well, there's so much more than that. And I learned about that in this program, but I want to talk about it in this video to tell you what maybe it's more than you think it is too, okay? And I've got good old Jordan Peterson using his video. It's a video called How to Actually Stop Feeling Lost in Life. And that might go some way into letting you know what it means to me, but also there's more to it. So let's, without any further ado, before I start babbling, let's have a listen.
One of the things you can be virtually certain of in life is that you don't get something you don't aim at. And one of the things that's interesting about that is often people will keep their goals fuzzy. Because one of the problems with specifying your goals is you specify your failures. Right? If the goal is really fuzzy, you're not sure when you fail, and then you can fool yourself. Really, but you can kind of keep it foggy. But you make your goals sharp and clear. Then, well, first of all, then you know what to aim at. And what's interesting is, your brain is set up so that it reorganizes the world around your aims. And that's not, I've also written about this in 12 Rules for Life quite extensively, and that's not a metaphor.
I haven't read his book, 12 Rules for Life. I must do. It's on my list. It is on my list. But look, there's a few things that he says there. First of all, we can keep our goals fuzzy, right? Yeah, I get that. If we just keep them in my head, we don't write them down, we don't tell anyone, it's easy to fall off, right? And kind of not be committed. If we haven't actually reached it, we just let it go. So I think for me, kind of setting goals is really good. For my ADHD especially, is that I make myself accountable, and I kind of know if I'm not hitting that. So writing it down is really important, but we need to get specific. And if you're interested in doing that, put in your browser to search for SMART goals. That's an acronym that's for measurable goals, and it will direct you about how to set them and how to make them specific. And he says here that, our brain is set up for goals, and that it actually reorganizes our life around that goal. That's the kicker, right? Now, I learned about in my training, we deliver about the reticular activating system. And this is the system that filters in information in our brain, because you can imagine how much information we're getting in the brain at one time, and it's all our senses. So what we hear, what we see, what we feel, smell, taste, all that kind of stuff. So information's coming in all at the same time. And in 1 second, I think it's about 11 million pieces of information will go into the conscious and the unconscious mind. Now, we can't process all of that information, of course. We can only process about 40 pieces of that information in our conscious mind. And so we better be clear about what's coming in, right? That's a small window, right? And this is why goals are so important, because otherwise we'll get any kind of crap coming in. And that does happen, right? So if we want to make sure that the information that's coming in is relative to what we want and is going to actually aid us in moving forward, in success in our life and in progress, we better give it a go. I suggest kind of searching in your browser for smart goals and writing down. You might know about goals, but also maybe keeping them on your phone or somewhere where it's easily accessible so that you can look at them. And the reason how I explain about the RAS system, so the reticular activating system, is that imagine if your friends just bought a red mini. Have you ever had this experience before where then all you see is red minis? And you're like, and you're seeing more red minis. Well, you're not actually seeing more red minis. This is the RAS system in action. You've focused on that, and then that's what it's giving you, right? So it's then selected to filter in red minis, and that's how it works. And so the more specific we are about our goals, it will reorganize our life and our thinking around it and allow information to come in to see other opportunities, right? To gather the information that we need to make us progress in that area. So really, really important for us to know that. And that's why I think it's really important for us to be grateful. You know, when we talk about, or I've talked about before, and in recovery, it's a big thing to do a gratitude list. The reason why we do a gratitude list is because that's what we're going to see during our days. We're setting up to be aware of all those good things. If we set up our day with all those bad things, we're going to see them. You kind of get the picture. Let's have a look at some more.
Like, we don't see much of the world because there's a lot of the world and there isn't much of us. And so we see what we aim at. We aim with our eyes. And here's an example. So like, great apes don't really have much of a white in their eyes, but human beings do. And the reason for that is that we've evolved to detect where everyone else is looking. And so if I can't tell where you're looking, I don't know what you're up to. And then, well, over time, that means I can't read you as well, and we're more likely to get in a dispute, and one or the other of us is more likely to get killed. But it also means that your probability of finding a successful mate decreases. So we've evolved to have this very, very visually evident eye. And so when we're looking at each other, we're always looking at our eyes, because then we can tell where someone is pointed, and then we can tell what they're up to. And so we're hunting creatures, like we're aiming at a moving target and trying to track it all the time. And so you have to specify your aim. And it's more than one aim. It's like you have a highest aim, which you might say is to be a good person. And then I would say, well, there's a more elaborated aim than that. It's like you want to be able to constrain malevolence and work to decrease suffering. It's something like that. That's the highest aim. And then you have to decompose that into the things you do each day so that there's a definite connection between all the micro actions and the macro aim, and then that gives dignity to what you're doing.
So again, a lot to unpack there. It's really, really important to understand that we're set up for that, to be focused on stuff and the information that comes in for survival, right? For hunting and for procreating. So that's why our brain's set up for it. But then he goes on to talk about, our highest aim. And he's talking about holistic aims, right? The bigger overarching kind of aims that we have. And if that's to be a good person, then it would be to decrease our kind of that dark side of us, right? And we'll decrease suffering, and to contain that dark side of us. And then that's from that is where our aims are at. So that's the macro aim, and then they've got the micro action. So, well, what does that look like in our day to day? How do I make sure that that's what I'm doing? Well, our lives can be aligned with that, maybe in our job, maybe not. I'm lucky enough in the sense that that's how I see my job, is that to contain malevolence is to stop acting out in active addiction, right? And to decrease suffering is to pass my message on of what I learned of how to get clean, right? And so that can fit in, but what am I underneath that? Again, we've got the micro aims. Well, what does that look like in my day-to-day? Well, at the moment, one of my goals is this YouTube channel, and I kind of decompose that and about, well, how many subscribers do I need? How many videos do I need to put out? That kind of thing. And so they're the kind of micro actions that I need to kind of look at. And we can also talk about a 10-year goal. So what are we aiming at? And then break it down into a 5-year goal, and then, in the month and in the day. But it doesn't have to be, a career or a side hustle kind of thing. It can be in our home, buying a home, maybe. It might be decorating our home. It might be a goal for a holiday that we're looking for, a family holiday. It might be family goals. It could be in the creative side, like arts, or learning to play an instrument, or, it's never ending. It's anything that we feel that will bring something to our life, but we have to be specific if we want that. And this is what he's talking about. And if I am breaking that down and decomposing that means that every day is aligned with my big micro aim, right? And so there's dignity in that, right? So every day, every action that I take, there's some dignity in that, and that gives us kind of a real good kind of sense of stability, structure, and a foundation, I guess, for a life that we want. So it gives us dignity in our everyday.
Why have a goal? Well, it's easy. No goal, no positive emotion. Because you experience positive emotion by noticing that you're moving towards a goal. And so if you don't have a goal, well, you can't have any positive emotion. So you better have a goal. And so you might say, well, what should the goal be? Well, we could start by saying, well, any goal is better than none. And then we might say, well, it should be a goal that other people will let you pursue, because otherwise it's going to be kind of difficult. And maybe they'll be even happy to help you pursue it. That would even be better. And maybe it's a goal that would enable you to learn how to pursue other goals while you pursue that goal. Boy, that would really be good. And so you can see that your goal is parameterized, but that doesn't mean that any old goal works. It means there's some goals that work nicely and some not so nicely. There are playable games and non-playable games. That's a good way of thinking about it. And you want to have a playable game. And there's a lot of them. Lawyer, plumber, actor, whatever. They're playable games. And it's not obvious which one's better, but it's certainly obvious which ones are sustainable and which ones are worse. And so there's a set of playable games, and you need to extract from that set of playable games a game that suits you.
Yeah, so what he's saying here, start with that latter bit that he talks about, the playable games, well, that are going to help us to kind of sustain our lives and maybe financial security. So, a career that we might enjoy. Some people are lucky enough to know what that is off the bat, and some people find out later. But yes, so we've got them aims and them goals, and it doesn't mean that our career has to be the one of the macro aim being good person, kind of containing that dark side and kind of decreasing suffering, so helping others. Our job could bring in the financial security that enables us to do other work, so volunteering maybe. But he talks about the emotion around it, right? No positive emotion if there's no goal. And how I understand that is that, happiness, if someone says to you, what's your goal in life? And you go, well, I just want to be happy. It's not a viable goal, right? Happiness is an emotion. It's a feeling that comes and goes. It comes in waves, right? That's how life is. If we were happy all the time, then it wouldn't be called happiness, or, because there's no sadness, so you can't compare. So it would be a non kind of emotion. It's just kind of how it is, right? But where we get enjoyment and where we get sort of joy is through the adventure, through the aiming at. And he talks about, when we get something that we want, so maybe we've got this goal and then we get that goal and then we feel satisfied and satiated because we've experienced that, and it's a win. Happiness is the adventure, the moving towards, the kind of celebrating that you're getting towards something, that excitement and joy. And so we better have a goal, because otherwise what are we aiming at, right? And so we might then have this satisfaction once we get that, and then it's right, well, what's the next move? So we always have to have something to aim to, and otherwise, which this is called, is that you could feel lost because you've got nothing to aim for. And I think it's important to say here that for me, that's when I've been well, when I've had these goals, when I know what I'm heading towards. Otherwise I can feel lost. And it's that question of, well, what's the fucking point? And I've asked myself that many times, and it's when I've been in between things and I haven't got anything to aim for, because even though I struggle, I've achieved a lot in my life, right? And I feel really motivated towards that when I've got something that I'm really passionate about. So I better have things that I'm passionate about, right? And at the moment it's my YouTube channel. I've got some other stuff going on, but I have goals.
Enthusiasm and joy, happiness, let's say, is 100% dependent, as far as we can tell, on observations that you're progressing towards a valued goal. It's not attainment focused, that's satiation. You get something you want and you're satisfied about it. That's a whole different neurochemical system. But enthusiasm and joy that people associate with happiness manifests itself when you're moving towards a valued goal. So if you don't prioritize your goals because you don't exist within a structure of value, then you have no positive emotion. And positive emotion is half of forward moving motivation. Well, in fact, in terms of forward movement, it's almost all the motivation, because the embodied manifestation of positive emotion is the movement towards a valued goal. That's what it is.
That's why this is called How to Stop Feeling Lost. We need to have something prioritized in our life, because otherwise we feel lost. So, and then times when we need to be pulled back in, when we're low, we get less distracted, or we're sad or depressed, whatever's going on, what often pulls us back in is that kind of that goal, that moving forward. I know that in my life, when I was at my worst, it was what's the point of continuing. I need to have something to aim for, because otherwise I can start questioning what's the point in life, and that's in a dark place, right? So having goals is so important for me, for my mental health, for moving forward, to experiencing enthusiasm, to experience joy, to gain happiness, to see that I'm moving forward, I've got success, dignity, having pride in my life and sharing that with others, and of course being a role model for my daughter or those around me, to kind of say, I'm aiming towards something, and failure is part of that. And that's why I think it's so much more valuable when we do get it, if we struggle along the way, because it means so much more, right? So I guess my message is, let's write some goals down. And my goal actually currently is to get more subscribers. See where I'm going here? It's free to subscribe, guys. I think what I want to share now is that, even though I do, this is what I want to do, I know that at the moment it's more about experimenting, and the consistency is, still like that, and that's okay. I know what I want. I'm doing more editing. I'm enjoying. I've done a few videos that again haven't made the cut. Again, that's part of it. But I have my goals, and even though I'm not putting out as much, I'm still working hard in the background, right? Like with a duck on the water and then the legs are going like that. So looks like I'm doing nothing, but I actually am doing something, and learning about what I want this channel to be about, right? And what I want to put out there, and feeling my way through, and that's what happens. I'm so green at this still, but enjoying it, and that's the important thing. I think that even though there's my own struggles in my day-to-day bits with the YouTube channel or where to move forward, that's all part of it. You know, I don't expect it to be smooth. So guys, thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe if you feel that you're getting value, if you like what you see. If you've got any questions, please comment on my YouTube channel on the video. That would be wonderful. And please like. It all helps with the algorithm and helps me build my channel. I'd really appreciate that. That would be great. But thanks guys, I'll be back soon. I've got some time to do some more videos, and so I'll be putting out some more very soon. Thanks guys, you take care. Mwah.